Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Career Launchers YouTube channel. And in this episode of Gejo Speaks, every Friday at 10 p.m., I'll be there in this channel sharing some insights into the CAT, especially the verbal ability and reading comprehension section of the CAT. My plan is to look at paragraph jumble. Now, I do understand that many of us don't like paragraph jumble question. Though it is a type in the answer question or non MCQ question, there is no negative marking. Most of us really don't look at paragraph jumble. We look at paragraph jumble and go, oh, it's tough. I don't want to solve this. There's no point. I always get it wrong. I try doing a lot of things. It is not working out. I don't know what's happening. We have to change that. So what we'll do is to do two things. One is to understand what do they do, and then we'll understand therefore what should I do, and who are they. These are, ladies and gentlemen, are question creators, and I'm going to call all question creators are generally evil people. For us they're nice people, but for us they are evil. Now, why is this important? Now, this is going to be important for reading comprehension, paragraph jumble, paragraph summary, odd sentence, the areas that is tested in the CAT. But this is very important because, for instance, for reading comprehension, I should know how many words will I get in the passage, what type of questions will I get. But I should also know things like, for where did they pick these passages from? What kind of topics? In the question, in the options, what are the traps that they set? It is important for me to understand those things. So, therefore, in the context of paragraph jumble, it is also important for me to understand exactly how my question setter create the question. What is this guy thinking? Now, we might think that's what is there in paragraph jumble. What is paragraph jumble after all? One paragraph is taken. It has got 4 sentences. These 4 sentences are jumbled and then given to us, and we have to put in the right order. Now, from the question setter point of view, what will they do? Obviously, they're not going to write this paragraph themselves. They'll probably pick up from some source. Let's say Aeon essays, right? That is probably one source. And Aeon essays, there's an article which has got lot many paragraphs. All that they do is they will take this one paragraph and giving it to us. Sir, what are you talking? But are you sure of that? Only when I know what they do can I create a plan to counter what they do. A counter attack is based on what is their attack strategy. So, as a smart test taker, it is always important for me to understand what is that question setter is doing. So that's the first thing that we'll do. And then based on that, we'll create some plan. Whatever plan that we do should be simple, no complication, something that works every single time. I don't want to mark, let's say, 10 rules or 15 rules or 20 rules of reading per paragraph jumble. Nah. 3 rules should be enough for us to crack paragraph jumble. I don't want to complicate this. After all, we have so many things to do. I don't want to remember 15, 20, 25, 30 rules for paragraph jumble. Why? Keep it simple. Now, let's start with the question. What do they do? Okay, I have taken this paragraph jumble question from CAT 2019 slot number 1. On the left hand side is a source of that particular question, and it's taken from Aeon essays. And this is from this particular paragraph, not the first paragraph, the second paragraph. What I want you to do is to just pause the video. Well, this is premiering, so you can't pause the video. What else? This is the premiere. Okay, no problem. Let's do one thing. Let me take, let's say, a minute of a time. I'm going to just pause myself and Have a look at that. Read this paragraph here. Look at these four sentences and tell me if there is something fishy. Is there anything fishy? Yeah. This paragraph started with this word, another example. Another, which means in this conversation from our original author is always our friend. Our question setter is the evil fellow. Ladies and gentlemen, author is our friend, question setter is the evil guy. Our friend, while wrote this paragraph, is talking about another example, which means probably an example was given in the previous paragraph. Author is talking about another example. But when the question setter create the question, that was changed into an example. Why? Oh, it's a simple question, but think about it. Now imagine this sentence number two started with another example. Now there is no way that you and I would ever imagine that two is the start of the paragraph. How do we know? I only see this one paragraph. I don't see this entire essay. I see this one paragraph. Therefore, our evil question setter is actually a good fellow. Nice, cute fellow. That person, our question setter, is helping us, saying that whatever paragraph that I give you, I will ensure that whatever be the source, I will ensure the paragraph that you see is complete in itself, has got a sensible start. Now, if you look at these four sentences, you see this. I'm going to use some words here. Echo word that repeats. So, for example, if you look at this word here, which is mind reading, you can see the word mind reading here as well. You can see the word mind reading here. You can see the word mind reading here, right? And one of the things that we should do with the echo word is to figure out where does it start? Where does it start? Then it's echoing. But what is the source? Now, in fact, if you read sentence number two, it says an example of a lost cognitive instinct is mind reading. So this is clearly where it got introduced. Our capacity to think of ourselves and others as having beliefs, desires, thoughts, and feelings. Now, there is one more word you can actually see, which is a which is an echo word: print reading. This is there in sentence number 4. It is there in sentence number 1. If I actually look at sentence number 3 here, the sentence number 3 is completely dedicated to mind reading and explaining to us what mind reading is. In fact, this is in sentence number 4 where our print reading is getting introduced. Print reading, like mind reading, varies across cultures, depends heavily on certain parts of the brain and subjective development disorder. And then in sentence number 1, these two are differentiated. People with dyslexia has difficulty with print reading. People with autism spectrum disorder have difficulty with mind reading. Therefore, the order is clear. We're starting with 2, where mind reading is introduced, and then moves to 3, where the mind reading explained, looks increasingly like literacy, a skill, blah, 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 blah. And then we have print reading introduced, and then both are compared. Simple. We have got 2, 3, 4, and 1 as the order. Now, this is the only way the ordering can be done. No other way would make sense. 2, 1, 3, 4 will not make sense. 3, 2, 1, 4 will not make sense. The only thing that will make sense is 2, 3, 4, 1, and nothing else. So the task of the question setter to create a paragraph jumble question is whatever be the sources, they have to do edit. It is not simple cut paste. They have to do edit in such a manner that whatever is the paragraph that is given to us as paragraph jumble question, it's complete in itself, and the order, there is just one order that makes sense, right? Now, let's before I move, let's just read this, okay, and try and understand the mind of the question setter. It's always important to understand the mind of the question setter. You may not be able to figure this out, but I am here to help you, right? Let's just read. Another example of a lost cognitive instinct is mind reading, our capacity to think of ourselves and others as having beliefs, desire, thoughts, and feelings. So this is the first sentence. A small edit is small, but profound edit is being done. That is sentence number 2. Then you look at these. Mind reading looks increasingly like literacy, a skill we know for sure is not in our genes. Scripts have been formed. Okay, so look at the 2 sentences is combined to create 1 sentence, because this paragraph has 5 sentences. The question setter decided I'm going to make 4 sentences. Those 2 were combined. Now, very, 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 very important to look at the next one. Very important. Look at this. Like print reading. When they say like print reading, that means in the original source, print reading would have been discussed earlier. Like the print reading, what we discussed earlier, mind reading is also there. But in the question, it is saying like mind reading, print reading varies across culture. Okay, or print reading, like mind reading, varies across culture. So here, in a way, the question setter is introducing print reading. The author is not introducing print reading here. Why is that? Imagine if the question setter just took this sentence as it is and gave it to us, like print reading, mind reading, then I would have got confused. For me to say like print reading, mind reading is something, which means the print reading has to be discussed earlier. For example, if I say like the cat, that is also a management entrance test, which means what? I should have a conversation of cat first. Then I'm having a conversation of that. So the point, ladies and gentlemen, is whatever be the source, whatever be the paragraph they're picking, the question setter is ensuring that it has got a solid start. There is only one way of arranging those 4 sentences, one logical way of arranging it. That's good news. So I don't have to bother whether he has taken from the middle paragraph, the opening paragraph, the ending paragraph, the last paragraph. No. Whatever paragraph is given to me, I'm going to just work on that particular paragraph. Now, at this point in time, I must tell you this. Had there been options, option A, option B, option C, option D, the question setter need not do all this. Because me, as a test taker, all I have to evaluate between these 4 options, which one works the best. But when it comes to type in the answer question, we can't do that. The paragraph that is given to us will be complete in itself. That is learning number 1. Number 2, CAT 2020 slot number 1. This is a paragraph here. You want to read? Okay, let me tell you something. This is a huge paragraph. The question setter decided, I'm just going to stop here. So you will have this. I think this is taken from here to here, right? That's it. So the rest of the part is kind of discarded. Have a read and tell me if you find something interesting. Okay. You don't want to read it. Okay. First, let's look at this 4 sentence and try and make sense of these 4 sentences first. Okay. Before we look at the source. Man has used poisons for assassination purposes ever since the dawn of civilization, against individual enemies, but also occasionally against armies. Wow, what a sentence. That's like one broad sentences. Broad sentences. Please understand one other thing when it comes to conversations and when people write things. You actually start with broad and then gets into narrow things. For example, if I have to talk about, let's say, about cat, I would start by saying something that is broad. MBA education is one of the most sought after career or education choices for many students. To get into some of the top MBA B schools in this country, they have to take the CAT. The CAT as an examination has got three sections: VARC, DLR, and QA. In VARC, there is reading comprehension. See, the conversation becomes broad to narrow. If you look at this, this is getting something specific about some certain person, something talking about treaty, something happening especially in 1918 and 1874. This is very broad. So is kind of, I'm absolutely 100% sure the start has to be one. Man has used poison for assassination purpose ever since the dawn of civilization. Right. Sentence number 2 talks about these dangers. These. Now we look at this is a nice pronoun. This, these are very near. That, those, far. So these dangers, which means I need to have a sentence which actually talks about specific danger. These dangers were soon recognized and resulted in two international declarations in 1874 in Brussels and 1899 in Prague, in Hague, sorry, that prohibited the use of poisonous weapon. 3. The Foundation of Microbiology by Louis Pasteur and Robert Koch offered new prospects. When you say offered new prospect, that is interesting. Look at the development of ideas here. Development of idea. Development of idea. New prospects. Something that is dawn of civilization. Now this is new. Man has used poisons forever. But there are new prospects. Something new happened. Those interested in biological weapons. Now we know for sure that is a danger. 1 going to 3. Okay. And those treaties were all made. What treaties? The treaties here, declarations, these treaties. So conversation, the story is clear. 1 to 3, going to 2, and then talking to 4. Those treaties were all made in good faith. They contained no control means of control, and so failed to prevent interested parties from developing and using biological weapons. Right. So we have got 1, 3, 2, and 4. Now, if you look at the source here, we need to understand the question setter. That's a purpose at this point in time. Man has used poison for assassination purpose ever since the dawn of civilization. Not only, okay, for sentence. Look at this word. However, oh my God, that is missing. That's missing. There was the word however here. The question setter decided, I'm going to remove it. I will remove it. Okay. Then look at this. These dangers were soon recognized. Okay, that's perfect. However, also these and as well as later treaties missing. Imagine these words being there in this particular paragraph jumble question. Our life would have been much more easy. Would have been awesome. So the question setter is also deleting some very obvious signal words. What does that mean? Therefore, what do we work with? We work with some basic pronouns, some development of ideas. We got echo words, biological weapons, and then we have got echo words, treaties, and treaties are mentioned here. So you have to work with these things, knowing the fact that the paragraph that is given to us is complete in itself. That's number 1. And number 2, I'm working with the simple idea. So the learning, ladies and gentlemen, is that whatever be the source, the paragraph is edited to make it a standalone paragraph and edited to remove some obvious connectors. Now, what should I do? Right? Simple things. 3 things. We could then obviously cut this down into much more shorter ideas, and then we can keep on discussing all that. But at the core of it, there are basically 3 things. Start and development. We need to understand the term and how ideas are developed. There are a lot many ways in which we can look at development. That itself could be a lesson. Echo words, I already talked about what echo words are. Signal words, these. However, for example, all these are signal words, but some of the signal words will be missing. But we look at these 3 things. Okay, let's look at a few examples. Let's take CAT 2018 slot number 1. Right? Let's do this together. Impartiality and objectivity are fiendishly difficult concepts that can cause all sorts of injustices, even if transparently implemented. So, first of all, I'm looking in this word impartiality and objectivity. If that word echoes, it will be interesting because that is sort of a key word in that sentence. Also, sentence number one looks at much more general, right? So, because we have got this word, it starts with eight, now two can't be the start. It can encourage us into bubbles of people we know and like while blinding us to the different perspectives. But the deeper problem of transparency lies in the word and much more. Three, Twitter website says the tweets you are likely to care about most will show up first in your timeline based on accounts you interact with most, Tuesday engage with, and much more. Oh, we have an echo. Ladies and gentlemen, we have an echo and much more. And the problem is with the word and much more. Now, if you look at three is specifically talking about Twitter website. So that is narrow. One is very broad. It seems to be that three is an example of one. Impartiality is difficult to implement. Now, look at the example of Twitter website. That's how the conversation is going. It says a lot of things, but there is a problem of transfer lies in the word and much more. And much more means what? Okay. So we've got some idea. We are only told some of the basic principles, and we can't see the algorithm itself. The algorithm. Ladies and gentlemen, what algorithm? Who will have an algorithm here? This first sentence does not have an algorithm. Twitter has an algorithm. So we story is done. One is a start. 3, 2 is a block. And the conversation ends with 4. We are only told about some basic algorithm, making it hard for citizens to analyze the system sensibly or fairly to be convinced of its impartiality and objectivity. Now look at this. This word echoed. Now we know that the introduction of impartiality objectivity happened in sentence number 1, right? And what is author doing is making a broad claim that impartiality and objectivity are difficult concept. Even if you implement it, it's difficult. Okay, let's talk about Twitter, for example. Twitter's website says a lot of things. The problem in the word is much more. Why? Because I can't see the algorithm. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what and much more means. 1, 3, 2, 4. This is the only way, ladies and gentlemen, the only way this paragraph will make sense. No other way it will make sense. Right? The only way. 1 is a broad claim being made, and 3 to 4 explains that claim. The broad claim about INO, impartial objective, is made, and with an example of Twitter, then INO, that particular claim about INO is explained. Now the story is Twitter website. You look at the word the algorithm. Whose algorithm? Its impartiality. Whose impartiality? It encourages. Who encourages? Twitter has to come 3. Now, because of this connection here, 3 and 2 becomes a block and ends with 4. Simple. Let's look at one more. CAT 28 slot, 2018 slot number 2. It was his taxpayer, whose, probably this gentleman, Australian Ministry of Revenue, his taxpayer, who are to shell out as much as $1.6 billion over 10 years to employees of failed companies. Right? Companies in many countries routinely engage in such activities. Such activities. What activities? So this cannot be the start. 1 cannot be the start. Okay. And let's look at 3. Deliberate and systematic liquidation of a company to avoid liabilities and then restarting business is called phoenixing. So this, ladies and gentlemen, is a concept being introduced called phoenixing. Such activities. Companies in many countries does it. Broad. Companies in many countries does that activity. 3 to 2. 3 to is a block. Then a specific example. Let's talk about one company. The Australian minister, one country. The companies in many countries does it. Broad. Let's focus, narrow it to the Australian Minister of Revenue and Services discovered in an audit that phoenixing had cost the Australian economy between 2.9 billion and last year. And it was his taxpayer which had a problem. 3241. You look at the CAT 2020 paragraph jumble, 2021 paragraph jumble questions. We'll do that sometime later. But I'm not going to solve it. You look at yourself and see it's not difficult at all. Let's do actually one more. Why not? One more for CAT 2018. Self-management is thus defined. And now there's a problem here, okay? The moment somebody sees the word thus, they start, last sentence. Thus has to be last. Cannot. No. We will not look at ending. We have to look at start and development idea. Don't fall for it. This has to be the end. There's no end to it. Because the conversation is moving forward. The passage is continued. Remember, the passage is picked up from somewhere. The conversation moves forward. Okay. So now we have this word self-management. And this talks about how self-management is defined as an individual's ability to manage the symptoms, treatment, physical and psychosocial consequences, and lifestyle changes inherent with living with a chronic condition. Okay. One obviously cannot be the start, that is for sure. Most people with progressive diseases like dementia prefer to have control over their own lives and healthcare for as long as possible. Having control means, we have an echo. We have an echo, ladies and gentlemen. Having control means, that is getting explained. So why they have to have control over the lines? What is control means? Clean. Among other things, that patient themselves perform self-management activities. We have another echo, ladies and gentlemen. Self-management is echoing. This is where the self-management as an activity is getting introduced. Now we have got self-management here as well, echo. So this is very clear. 2 going to 3. Okay. Having control, among other things, that patient themselves perform self-activity. Supporting people in decisions and actions that promote self-management is called self-management support. That is one more step going forward. So the story is very simple. 2, 3, 1, 4. Okay. So clean. Most people with progressive disease like dementia prefer to have control over their life. People have dementia, they need to have control. Now, what does control mean? Having control means, among other things, having self-management activities. They should perform self-management activity. Okay. So self-management can be defined as individual ability to manage symptoms. Now, once it's defined, now we have to promote self-management. Now, to promote self-management is called self-management support. Okay. Control. Okay. What does control mean? Self-management. Self-management explain. Now let's promote self-management. That is called self-management support. Simple. Now, the idea is very simple. Start by telling yourself every single day that paragraph jumble is easy. Tell this every day. It's easy. Say this. Never tell the paragraph jumble is tough. Say to yourself every day the paragraph jumble is easy. All you need to have a consistent process of solving paragraph jumble. You can figure out your process. I gave the principle. You remember the principle. The paragraph is complete in itself. It will have a start. Number 2 is that they might remove some obvious sort of connectors. Think about echo words, some pronoun links, and development of idea. 3 most important things. Let me know, ladies and gentlemen, if you need any more help, if you have any questions, you put it on the chat comment box. I will look at those questions. I'll keep meeting you every Friday at 10 p.m. That's when the session is getting premiered. One of those days I'll come live, maybe once in a month, and we'll discuss certain things. But mostly it'll be premiered. But I'll ensure that every Friday you will get something from me. Yeah. By the way, for those of you who have taken if you're a classroom student of ours or test series student of ours, if you have access to you've taken the test series, then you will see me after every test, in the sense that every solution to the VRC section is going to be created by me. So you can see more of me. Those of you are my students, which means career launcher students. See you. Goodbye. I'll see you next week. Bye bye.